Hey, it's Craig Syracusa, and welcome to another episode of Walk in Faith, the show where we go beyond the image and we discover who our guests really are. You might know them from TV, the big screen, or even the world of sports, but do we really know who they are as a person? Do we know what motivates them? Do we know what inspires them? Well, that's what we're here to find out. On this episode, we're going to delve into a heated issue in today's society, the right to life. Abby Johnson is here with me to talk about her book, Unplanned, which talks about her journey from being the director of a Planned Parenthood to a vehement defender of the right to life. Her book inspired a movie which will hit theaters next year, and the cast and crew sit down with me to discuss why they chose to partake in it and what they hope audiences take away. Stay tuned. Walk with us. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course.
I want to, on a personal note, I couldn't get past the first two chapters without crying. I just kept thinking about my son. The book, honestly, it was fantastic. And as I was reading it, I kept saying, like I said, and I know your story, and I said, does she know that, God has been there and God's there the whole time? And then you said in your book about it was the whisper of God's spirit. And I thought about it, I said, do you know how many things had to line up on that day? You could have went for coffee, you could have taken the day off, but everything lined up and now we're here. Yeah. Can you tell me about that day?
Yeah, I think that he was with me that whole time, even when I was in the clinic. And I just think that I had blocked him out. Just all the noise in my life, the things that I was hearing from Planned Parenthood and the movements I was a part of, and I hadn't been listening for his voice. And that day, when I knew that I was going to have to leave, when I knew there was going to have to be a change, that was really when I finally started actively listening for the voice of God. And it was very clear. It wasn't overpowering, it wasn't overbearing, but it was just a very clear voice leading me and guiding me on my next steps.
And do you think if he would have revealed himself or revealed his plan back when you were, about to volunteer, do you think you would have had the strength to, endure and embrace what took place after that? All the adversity?
I don't, probably not. I will say that being with Planned Parenthood and being with an organization that is definitely targeted and constantly having to defend themselves in what they do, I think that did build up some strength in me for the wrong reasons, but I think that it did. And I even in that though, I see how God's hand was preparing me for this moment right here. I was trained by their media department, and nobody runs crisis media better than Planned Parenthood because they're always in trouble. They're always in the media for something. And, I was trained by them. And so I see God's handiwork all throughout my life, even in those 8 years, preparing me step by step to do this right here.
Amazing. And he used the coalition. He was planting seeds in those people, and they were sort of attracted to you, and there was a reason that whole time.
Yeah, and there had to be times where they just thought, oh my gosh, God, why are we praying for this woman? Because it's not like I was the friendly abortion clinic director. I was very hateful to them at times, and but something in their spirit kept prompting them to pray and to reach out and just to be kind and compassionate. And that did eventually win me over, and that was a voice that I listened to.
And why do you think God picked you? there's so many people that worked at Planned Parenthood that had similar stories. Why did he pick you? Why are we here today?
I don't know. I don't know why he picked me. I do. I think, why me, God? I don't know. I'm just a normal person. I'm sure that there are people that would have been better equipped for this, that would have been more articulate, or would have had a prettier face, or would have done this or that. But God, I think, equips us for the job that he gives to us. And I've seen his hand in my life throughout my whole life. And you have to be willing to follow his will and be willing to listen to his guidance. And since leaving the clinic, I learned that the hard way, just to follow his plan, that it's better than our own plans. And I don't know why he picked me, but I am thankful that I have the honor to use my story for his glory.
What do you think the ultimate plan is?
I hope that God is using this film and me and everyone involved in to make abortion unthinkable, so that women never even darken the doors of a place that considers their child to be trash or not valuable, that they will know that we are a people who love them, that care for them, that embrace them, and that abortion will be something that will be so hideous, such a part of our dark past, that people would never consider it again.
And last question now, people driving home and they're thinking about the film, and then how do you base success off this film? It's not the money, I know that, but what's the action that you want them to take? What do you want them to do?
You know, I've said before, no one will be able to go into this movie and leave and say again, I didn't know what abortion was. I didn't know what happened in the abortion clinics. I didn't know what happened in the womb. I didn't know it was a baby. They'll never be able to say that again. And so my prayer is that people will leave changed, even people who already are pro-life, that they will leave with a greater resolve to work to end this tragedy, to work to make abortion unthinkable, to work with our state offices, our state legislature, our federal government, to do everything we possibly can to recommit ourselves to the lives of these children and the lives of their mothers and their families. To do this right, to do it the right way, to do it with love, to do it with compassion, but to show that there is another way, there's a better way, and that God's plan is always better for us.
I love it. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate this. And I'll tell you, the book
Yeah.
definitely opened my eyes, and I will be at March for Life like we are every
All
year at
right.
the diocese.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Craig.
So I was reading about in the bio how you're a dad, right? Dad as well. What was your first impression or your overall emotional connection to the story, especially being a dad?
I mean, it's the first thing you think of, being a husband and a father. Life takes on a whole new meaning. It's true, When you hold them for the first time, it really is, indescribable. And so you're thinking, here's this role, here's what it entails. How can I get into Doug's character or his life? And luckily, Doug kind of was that guy already. Everything about him, husband, father, good guy, was relatable, and it's just the biggest blessing of our life to be able to be a part of it.
And now, did you read the book by any chance?
I have not read the book. My wife read the book. She keeps me updated on.
What was her response?
You listen to the first part of the book and you're just blown away. Like this is real life. This goes on every day. So that's the prayers. That's the hope that the message is spread. People will just dive in, not just align themselves with what they think or what their friends or family think, and they just really, get a crash course lesson in what goes on and what the details are, and that alone will change a lot of hearts and a lot of minds.
Why do you think God gave you this opportunity? I mean, you mentioned it was a blessing. Why? I mean, you're a local guy from Oklahoma.
Right?
Why? Why you?
Craig, I tell you, it points to him for one. He gave me the voice when I was 12. I walked out of a theater one day and he said, "You're going to be an actor." And I grew up playing sports, so we had a stick or a ball in my hand, year round with two brothers. I had no idea what he was talking about. Graduated, played ball, graduated, went to school, and then he said, you're going to do it, but when you do it, you're going to do it from Oklahoma. I had no idea what that meant. But he gave me a wife and he gave me 2 babies, and then he gave me this. Not only from Oklahoma, but the project shooting in Oklahoma. He just said, "That's my stamp." I just know my story it points to him. Abby's story points to him. Everybody on set, there's just so many things that are going to do, so many things about this project are going to be life-changing for so many that the books you could write off of them are just going to be, it's just powerful.
Oh, it is. And having kids, like you said, it really puts life in perspective, and it's sort of just, you can bring that emotion to set every day.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Thanks, Trey.
Nice to meet you guys. I was eavesdropping outside.
Yeah.
So I think we went to the same college. Was it, you're from Brooklyn? Is that
Yes.
true?
Yes,
The
that
Hard
is.
Knocks College?
Yeah.
Hard Knocks.
There you go.
I see that on people's Facebook. I said, all right.
Yeah.
Where'd you go from Brooklyn?
Flatbush.
Okay, I'm from Bensonhurst.
Yeah, that's a tough town.
Oh yeah, and then I was reading too, in 2008, you sort of had this I guess this moment in your career where you said, I'm gonna leave the secular world. That happened to me in 2011. Can you share what happened to you in your story, 2008?
We were broken. We had been in the secular world for a while. We were very angry. Unfortunately, we drove up into the Hollywood Hills. We've never been guys of Los Angeles, even though we lived there for 30 years now. The industry, politics, everything about the industry was not us. And we were broken. We were just to that place where, it's hard to explain how broken we were. We just knew. And we went up into the hills, and unfortunately, it was one of the worst days of my life. I fell on my knees, I cursed God, and I said, what are you doing to us? Why are you destroying us? And I cry about it now. I don't want to start crying. But I cursed God. And I expected that he would be vengeful or that punish me. And it was the complete and total opposite. And it was like, how can you curse the creator of the universe who gave you life and is totally innocent, and then curse him and have him love you more? And I just realized, this is beyond me. I have to love him. I have no choice. I just felt, what can you say? And he was so good to us. And then he said, and now I'm going to do a mighty thing. I brought you to this point, and I've always been there, and now I'm going to do a mighty work in you. And within a year, we were headed into the faith and values and Christian stuff, and it was the best thing we ever did.
It's amazing, right, those moments. But it couldn't have been easier for you. Everyone thinks it's the next day, you get the role, you get the job. It's even more difficult when you going from the secular world to the faith-based world. You think they're going to accept you with open arms, and they don't.
They don't.
What was your experience like?
They don't. We wandered. He made us wait quite a time, 6, 7, maybe more years than that. And when we went in, I honestly, what you're talking about is exactly what happened. We gave ourselves over to the Lord, and we fired our agent, our manager, William Morris. We had the biggest lawyers. We were in the business. And we threw out our Rolodex, threw out all our projects. We cleaned house.
Threw out a dumpster full of scripts we knew we'd never be able to make.
And so we knew, because he's God, that, okay, it's Friday, we'll get rid of everything, we'll have a nice weekend. And Monday, I honestly believe this, on Monday, somebody would knock on the door and give us $10 million, and we'd go busy. Or they would call or whatever. So Monday comes along, and we're looking at the phone, and Tuesday, and Wednesday, no one's calling anymore. Our agents basically think that we're insane. So it took months and even years, but through that process, he refined us. There always comes with the Lord. You have to walk that journey. Anyone who's gonna do it, no one's gonna ride for free. But when you finally get to that time, that place, that appointed moment, then he says, now you're ready. And then, amazing, it's been the best thing that we ever did.
And then you could trace all your steps back to all those decisions you made to say, he was leading me the whole time.
The whole time.
To do this film, there must have been a lot of adversity, and you're going to continue to hit roadblocks. This isn't going to be easy. This is the most controversial subject ever.
Everyone's thought it's a brilliant idea, and it's the easiest thing in the whole world, and the money came flying out through the door.
No. It's a battle. It's a spiritual battle, because it's the devil's grinder. It's his death machine. And what the devil does to hurt the Lord is he kills the children. That's his favorite thing to do, because the Lord said, the Bible says, he loves the children, and they have in heaven. But he delights in them, right?
At the very beginning of the project, I think we were allowed to feel a little of the delight the Lord felt that this was going to happen. There was a little window there where he just allowed us to bask in happiness, and I think that was really something.
One of the
special.
best things that ever happened was we were at the office, Chuck was in the kitchen, and he heard the Lord say to him, I want to make movies too.
That's amazing.
It sounded so sad,
and we felt so bad that we wanted to cry.
That the creator has to say that, in other words, he understands the meaning, he understands the power of it, he knows it can shape culture, he knows it can change our society.
And he wants to show people that, the devil has used the movies and TV to corrupt, and the Lord is saying, I'm gonna I'm going to take it back, but I need you to go to work
people
for
to
me.
cooperate.
I want to hear more about that story. God bless you guys.
God bless you too.
God bless.
Bless you as well. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you for taking this time. So I was reading about you guys, and I think your characters, honestly, are like one of the most important characters in the film, the coalition. I mean, what was your experience like, or what was your emotional response after reading the book or hearing about the story?
So I think, he loves to throw me under the bus for these. So I think with Sean and Mary Lisa, it's a beautiful opportunity to see just how similar their stories are. I mean, you see Planned Parenthood and you see the Coalition for Life, but I mean, Sean goes on a beautiful journey, especially with Abby, of just, getting promoted at the same time and becoming directors at the same time. And so it's cool to be able to see the two different sides of the spectrum, but how similar they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I actually got to speak to Sean, and Abby and him actually volunteered for just this, the opposite end of the spectrum, when she volunteered for Planned Parenthood and he volunteered for Coalition for Life. And he actually was telling me that he really kind of volunteered because he kind of had a crush on this girl named Mary Lisa, and he was at one of the Planned Parenthoods, and he actually saw a woman coming out of the Planned Parenthood on the other side of this fence, and they actually locked eyes with one another. And at that moment, his heart really changed because he felt like he felt her heart and how she had gone through something, and he felt that like if he could change even one person, from ever going through that hurt or going through that emptiness, that was kind of his calling. And at that moment, his life kind of changed, and yeah, it's just an amazing story. So, yeah.
So what do you hope? People are going to watch this film, they're going to drive home, and they're going to talk about it, obviously, but what action do you want them to take? Like, what do you want them to do? What do you hope they do the next day?
I hope that they do just realize the importance of being there. If you know someone that's struggling, or someone that's going through something that, whether it's on the abortion topic or not, that you just are there for them. Sean and Mary Lisa are always there. They're always at the fence. And I think that it's really important to realize that you can just be there and support out of love, and that can make a difference. That can do something. Or if you want to volunteer. We just want the topic to be open. We want people to, have questions or want to talk about it. Like, the more research you do, the better, and the more you're going to realize, and the scales are going to be lifted from your eyes.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you hope this film does for you as a person? I mean, you must reflect after each project, right, and say, what was the point? What was the purpose of this job beyond the money?
I mean, it's funny, in my first audition for this film, I had a unique conversation with the director, and it kind of opened my eyes as an actor, as a storyteller, to, it kind of brought me back to my childhood, of why did I originally want to be an actor?
Mm-hmm.
Why did I originally want to get into this, profession? And and the only thing that I could go back in my childhood brain is that to change the world. And as an actor, as a storyteller, we have the unique ability to be able to touch somebody through a screen or through a play or whatever it is that a regular conversation might not get to them because they're not open. Because they're you kind of shut your brain off a little bit when you go to a movie theater. Just because you're trying to be transported into a story, and that's the beauty of cinema or whatever it is. And so yeah, I change the world.
As a character too, you learn so much about yourself. Like you were saying, like you have to reflect, and it's beautiful to be able to portray beautiful people and people that their hearts are in a good place, because you have to put your heart there.
Right.
So you have to learn more about yourself and forgive yourself, and especially in this story, you can't hold yourself, accountable or responsible. You just forgiveness and hope.
Peace and confidence.
Good. Well, good luck, guys.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you. Nice
Hey.
meeting you.
Hey, you too, man.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. So like I said, everybody was out there during lunch talking about your story. But before we get into your story, I didn't really want to sit with you. I didn't like your character.
Well, good.
I mean, you manipulated Abby.
It's called acting, my
I know,
friend.
but in the book, I said, I don't like this. Nah, but honestly, it's a pleasure to sit with you.
Thank you.
Please tell me your story. Everyone, I'm getting, dribs and drabs of it. I want to hear.
So my story is, I started my career at 16. I saw the movie Flashdance and became a dancer. Remember Flashdance?
I do know that movie, yes.
Got a big
I
old
wanna-
perm and
yes.
decided I'm going to be a professional dancer. So I did that for many years. Then went into acting, did all sorts of TV shows. I'm known for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it was around that time where I became a Christian. So I stayed in acting a little bit, but was just starting to feel conflict, the types of roles I was going out for. And I was growing very strong in my faith and felt passionate about my faith. And
What sort of drew you to your faith?
well, that's another whole long story, but I think I was very successful at a young age, and it looked like I had it all. I was living the dream, traveling the world on TV, making a lot of money, but was chain smoking, tormented, body image issues, all sorts of things, just not at peace. So I was looking for God, looking for answers, looking self-help. I was reading all sorts of books, doing all types of things. And through a series of events, came into Christianity, came into the Bible, because I was reading so many self-help books. So I was searching for the meaning of life and all those types of things. And once I came into God, it was just, I had a powerful experience of knowing this is real, this is true, this is exciting. So all the areas I was dealing with, especially the issue with food, I started to get freedom and healing from that. And I actually wrote a book called Counterfeit Comforts. And it's about those things we turn to for comfort that can then become bondage, and how God's the true comforter. And when you allow Him to comfort you, then you get healed from all the counterfeits. So through a series of events, I became a Christian, went deep in my faith, have been in ministry now for 20 years, and never really thought I'd look back in terms of Hollywood. And I had some people over the last couple of years say that they really sensed that God was not done with me in Hollywood, that there was something was going to open up. So I said, well, we'll see. I'm not going to pursue it. I love what I'm doing. I know He's given me gifts to do that. So if He wants to use them again, because I never really used any of my gifts as a believer. And I was doing a Christian talk show for my book, and I met someone there that I was not supposed to meet. They were supposed to fly out that day, but because of a snowstorm, they didn't fly out. I met them. They introduced me to this team.
It's amazing how
so
God
many
works.
people on this set have a story like that. It
That's
doesn't
amazing.
make any sense that we should all know each other, but it was really a divine, handpicked group. So it's been 13 years since I've done a movie, and now I'm back as a believer doing this role that is such a powerful message.
What do you hope this film does for other people? Like, what action do you want them to take?
So many things. I mean, I could list across the board. I would love that it would, one of the things I'm passionate about now is just that, our media is so biased, and I think our whole culture is getting clearer that, we're being fed one side of a story, and if we want a full picture, we need to research it. And I think in regards to Planned Parenthood, it's been very much the same, and even feminism and the women's movement, we've been getting an angle that's not really the full picture. So one of my hopes is that Unplanned would lift the veil, so to speak, and show you the entire picture so people could get a better sense of what is the motive behind what they're being told. Obviously, I would love it to be a message of hope, which I believe that it is. And abortion is a topic that so many have spent decades in shame and condemnation and guilt. So my hope is that these things would be brought to the light in an environment that comes through unplanned, that's not of judgment or condemnation, but just the opposite, so that people would feel safe to be able to share with their families, with their children, and find healing.
Well, your story is inspiring, and
Thank you.
this film is going to be amazing.
It is going to be amazing.
It is. It's a great story. That was a great story. Thank you.
Thanks.
So how did you guys get involved in this project?
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
everyone's
Your
answered
story
that
is
question,
good.
so
My
that's
story
just
is gnarly how I got involved in this
I'll
project.
be the judge. So I'll take this.
No, really. So I was in the acting industry for 8 years, and then I took a break when I was 22 and took a long, beautiful hiatus. Worked at a Christian bookstore and was honestly praying about getting back into the industry. And it's always been my desire and passion to act. Met an actress there who took me to work on a short film. Met someone, and she knows Chuck and Carrie. And what I got to share with Chuck and Carrie, our directors, was that I literally used to hold their movies in my bookstore, in my hands, God's Not Dead, and pray over them and ask God, I want to work with these guys. I don't know why these movies are so good, I want to work with them. I kid you not.
What was their reaction like? I mean, because they're great guys. I mean,
They were beyond, and I quote, Chuck, he was like, my hairs, wow, that is amazing. So they identified with me. So they understood my story and were like, this is a God-ordained moment. It was amazing. We met at a Starbucks in Pasadena, and they were like, they knew. God put on their hearts, that's your girl right then and there. And so, and it was funny, they asked me to pray about it for 2 days, and I was like, I literally used to hold your movies in my hands. I don't care what you ask me to do, my answer's going to be yes. But they wanted me to know the project I was saying yes to. Of course. So for me, this was an answered prayer, and it's been the desire of my heart as an actor. I pride myself on movies that are based on true stories. So,
great.
yeah.
Is your story as interesting as
No.
fabricated?
No, I knew a guy who got me an audition. I did really well. They cast me. The end.
All right, back to you. So
Anyway, back to the interesting. I was hoping there would be someone who would ask me. I'm like, I hope they ask me how
nobody
I got
asked you that
back.
question?
No.
What? That wasn't in the list, I guess.
See, and we wanted original questions.
Oh. All right, so there's another original. So, okay, so what do you hope this film does for you?
Oh my gosh. Are you ready to answer that? I can chime in. Go for it. Okay, so I actually told Chuck and Carrie I didn't get into this business, into acting, to be famous. I never wanted to be a teeny bopper famous actress. I love telling stories. So for me, it's brought me into a deeper relationship with God. It's humbled me completely to feel the presence of God and to see a desire of my heart answered through prayer and to be here. I'm beyond satisfied. And and then even being a part of this story, that's the cherry on top of the cake for me. So, man, I'm already so humbled. It's just been so much. I don't need anything else. It's just, I want to go home and sleep at night and know that God used me for something bigger than myself, and I trust Him fully with it. And I honestly, I want to see babies saved.
That's great. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. A lot of people, it's difficult to hear God's voice or decipher it and say, no, that's not, you know. But to have that, it's a blessing, and to follow His path.
I've cried so many times.
What would you say?
I guess that's not something that I had even thought about, because this is how I serve. This is how I work. This is how I give back. And so for me to receive anything from this, it's like, well, I don't know if I'm receiving anything, probably because I already have it. The privilege and honor of being part of such a great story, I already got it.
That's great.
Also, I feel there's such a family and knit. I'm honored to do this project with the people I'm doing it with, our whole production crew. I feel supported to be able to go through the fire with my family.
Well, thanks for tuning in. And as always, remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through your words and actions. Until next time, thanks for walking with us.